Before we begin this morning prayer, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like this video. I've spent so many mornings trying to fix myself before the day even begins, before I stretch, before I sip coffee, before I take one step toward what's ahead. I've already run through the list of things I should have done better yesterday, the things I need to do more of today, the ways I've fallen short, the thoughts I shouldn't have had, the words I wish I'd said differently. It's become a routine I never meant to build, waking up not with gentleness, but with judgment. And even when I try to start slow, the weight creeps in. The high expectations, the inner pressure. The way I talk to myself in my head, like I'm always slightly behind, always a little too much or not quite enough. So today, I want to ask you for something different. I want to ask you to teach me how to be kind to myself, because I don't think I ever really learned how. I know how to push myself. I know how to critique myself. I know how to critique myself. I know how to analyze my flaws and keep track of everything I haven't finished. But kindness? That feels distant. That feels indulgent, like something reserved for later when I've done enough to earn it. Like something I extend to others without hesitation, but struggle to hold out to myself. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of waking up with a clenched heart. I'm tired of thinking that being hard on myself is how I stay accountable. I'm tired of dragging the weight of guilt and never quite letting it go. I want to start this day not from performance, but from presence. Not from pressure, but from peace. And I don't know how to get there alone. So God, show me how to be kind to myself today. Show me how to speak to myself like someone you love, someone you believe in, someone you are not disappointed with. Show me how to respond to my own mistakes with patience instead of punishment. When I forget something, when I drop the ball, when I say the wrong thing, remind me that I don't need to spiral into shame to prove I care, that I don't need to bruise myself with regret to be worthy of grace, that I don't need to fix everything by noon just to feel like I've earned a moment of rest. Help me sit with my imperfections without letting them define the whole day. Help me breathe through the tension in my chest instead of pretending it isn't there. Let this morning be a place where I lay down my measuring sticks, the ones I've used to determine whether I deserve compassion, the ones I've held against myself when I didn't meet imaginary deadlines or emotional standards that no one even set but me. Let me lay them down gently. Let me stop asking myself to be invulnerable. Let me see that strength doesn't have to come through suppression. It can come through softness too, through being honest about what hurts, through being open to receiving love, even when I'm not sure I deserve it, through noticing when I'm hard on myself and choosing to step back, breathe, and offer a little more tenderness. I want to be the kind of person who walks through the day with gentle awareness, not the kind of awareness that turns into self-policing or obsessive introspection, but the kind that lets me notice when I'm spiraling and step out before it takes over. The kind that lets me say, I'm struggling right now, and that's okay. The kind that doesn't turn every flaw into a personal failure. The kind that lets me meet the eyes in the mirror with a softness I didn't grow up knowing. I want to look at myself and see someone who's trying, someone who's learning, someone who's doing their best, even when it doesn't look like much. I want to stop being surprised by my own tenderness and start choosing it as a way of being. So remind me, God, when I feel behind, you're not rushing me. When I feel broken, you're not rejecting me. When I feel like I'm too much, you're not shrinking away. When I feel like I'm not enough, you're not withholding love. You are still here, still calm, still steady, still whispering truth into the places where my own voice has grown sharp, still inviting me to rest, even when I don't think I've earned it, still calling me your own, even when I think I've drifted too far. Let me believe. Let me believe that I don't have to wait for perfection to begin treating myself with care, that this moment, this breath, this quiet beginning of the day is sacred enough to start again, that kindness doesn't need a grand reason, it needs only a willing heart. Help me slow down enough to hear myself, to listen when my body is asking for rest, to pay attention when my emotions feel stretched thin, to stop pushing when what I need is pause, to recognize that being kind to myself isn't selfish. It's how I keep going without losing the most important parts of me. Let me give myself space to be tired without calling it weakness. Let me move gently through my routine, knowing that there's nothing holy about rushing. Let me be a safe place for my own heart, not another battlefield of judgment and comparison. And if I forget, if I catch myself tightening again, criticizing again, rushing again, don't let me spiral. Just bring me back. Bring me back with a breath, with a warm cup in my hands, with the reminder that I can try again mid-morning, mid-sentence, mid-thought, that I don't need to wait until tomorrow to start being gentle, that I don't have to finish everything on my list to be worthy of peace, that every moment is an invitation to return to kindness, to return to you, to return to the version of myself that is whole, even when I feel incomplete. Thank you for this breath, for this body, for this day I didn't have to earn. Thank you for not expecting me to get it right before you meet me here. Thank you for the way you hold space for me to be soft, to be uncertain, to be messy and in progress, and still completely loved. Thank you for reminding me that being kind to myself isn't a luxury. It's part of how I live a life that's rooted in grace. It's part of how I show up for others without burning out. It's part of how I stop hiding behind performance and start resting in presence. Let today be a practice of compassion. Let today be a rhythm of softness. Let today be a whisper of truth that says, you are doing your best. You are allowed to breathe. You are enough to begin again right here. And if all I do today is move slowly, breathe deeply, and choose kindness where I used to choose critique, then that will be more than enough. I think one of the hardest things about learning to be kind to myself is realizing how natural it's become to expect more than I can give. I don't even notice how quickly I raise the bar, how silently I increase the pressure, how easily I attach my worth to what I've completed, how I rarely let myself rest without explaining why I deserve it. I've built so many silent rules in my mind, rules about how much I should get done before I can feel proud, how perfectly I need to respond before I can feel like a good person, how little I'm allowed to feel before I call it drama, how quickly I must bounce back from anything difficult if I want to be seen as strong. These rules are invisible, but I follow them. I let them dictate my breath, my pace, the way I speak to myself before I even get out of bed. And today I'm asking you to help me gently rewrite them, not all at once, not with shame, but slowly, lovingly, with the same grace I would offer to someone I care about. Show me where I've made inner harshness seem holy. Show me where I've confused discipline with self-denial. Show me where I'm punishing myself in the name of responsibility. Show me how I can still be faithful to my life, still show up with integrity, still hold my values without sacrificing kindness in the process. Because somewhere along the way, I learned to push, but I never really learned to soothe. I learned how to hold myself accountable, but not how to hold myself when I'm tired. I learned how to keep moving, but not how to ask if I've actually been okay while doing it. And I want to learn a new way. I want to live in a rhythm that doesn't crush me. I want to speak words to myself that don't cut me down just to keep me humble. I want to find a tone of voice inside my head that sounds more like love than survival. Let this morning be a turning point. Not dramatic, not perfect, just honest. Let it be a soft interruption in the loop that plays too loudly when I try to slow down. Let it be a permission slip to not rush. Let it be a chance to hear myself say, "You're doing better than you think," and actually believe it. Let me not wait for someone else to affirm me before I start treating myself with respect. Let me not hold my value hostage to the mood of the day. Let me not look in the mirror searching for what's wrong before I see what's still good. Let me not brace for failure in every quiet moment. Let me begin to believe that I can be kind to myself, not because I've fixed everything, but because I'm worth that kind of care, even in the middle of the mess. So when I make a mistake today, because I will help me pause, not to spiral, not to shame myself, but to gently ask what I need. Help me notice how fast I turn inward with criticism. Help me catch myself before I speak cruelly to my own heart. Help me remember that accountability and cruelty are not the same, that I don't need to beat myself up to grow, that growth actually slows when shame takes over, that kindness isn't weakness. It's what gives me the capacity to keep going without losing my softness. Let me be someone who learns through love. Let me be someone who makes room for imperfection without letting it steal my peace. Let me remember that I am not a project to be completed. I am a person to be supported. And if I find myself rushing through breakfast, through conversations, through the quiet moments between tasks, help me ask why. Help me see what I'm trying to outrun. Help me notice if I've slipped back into measuring my worth by how productive I can be. Help me see when I'm offering more compassion to strangers than I am to my own body. Help me slow my steps even if no one else notices. Help me choose the path of inner gentleness even if it feels unfamiliar. Help me walk through today not as someone performing peace, but someone practicing it, clumsily, maybe, but sincerely. Let kindness be the language I speak, not only to the world but to myself. Let it begin here, in this breath, in this moment, in the way I choose to be present to myself without flinching. I know I won't get it all right today. I know there will still be moments where I fall into old patterns, where I criticize instead of comfort, where I rush instead of rest, where I blame instead of bless. But I don't want to let those moments undo everything I'm learning. I want to let those moments be gentle reminders to come back to the truth that I am still worthy of kindness, that I can still offer softness to the parts of me that feel rigid, that I can still believe in healing even when I don't feel very healed, that kindness is not a reward, it's a beginning. It's a way of meeting myself that makes space for grace. It's how I learn to live from love instead of fear. So thank you for this morning, for this prayer, for this sacred space to begin again. Thank you for the quiet invitation to look at myself with softer eyes. Thank you for not asking me to be flawless before you call me worthy. Thank you for being the voice beneath all the noise, the one that says, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. I'm not. Thank you for being a kind God, a patient God, a God who holds the mess without rushing the lesson, a God who sees the hesitation in my spirit and sits with it instead of forcing it to disappear. Thank you for giving me the chance to learn how to befriend myself, not because it will make me more efficient, not because it will fix everything, but because I deserve to walk through this life knowing what love sounds like inside my own soul. Let today be another step in the slow return to tenderness. Let it be filled with small choices that honor my heart. Let it be shaped not by urgency, but by quiet care. Let it be the kind of day that teaches me I don't have to rush healing for it to be real, that I don't have to be at the finish line to be proud of how far I've come, that I don't have to speak to myself with harshness to stay on track. I only need to keep choosing kindness again and again, one breath, one moment, one word at a time. I think one of the quietest forms of pain is walking through a day while being hard on yourself in every silent moment. No one else sees it, not in your face, not in your voice, not in the way you answer questions or get things done, but it's there, woven into the background of your thoughts. It's in the way you second-guess your words after conversations. It's in the way you hold your breath when you make a mistake, already bracing for internal punishment. It's in the way you talk yourself out of peace before the day even begins. And most of all, it's in the way you deny yourself softness, as if kindness is something you have to earn instead of something you're allowed to receive just because you're human. I know that pain because I've lived with it too long, and I don't want to carry it into another day. I want to leave room for healing, not all at once, but enough to start learning a new way to exist with myself. So God, help me become aware of every moment today where I'm tempted to be harsh. Let me feel it not as shame, but as signal. Let me catch the tension in my shoulders when I'm being too hard on myself. Let me notice when my thoughts start moving too fast towards self-blame. Let me hear the tone in my inner voice when I speak to myself about small things. Let me see where I'm holding unnecessary guilt, not to dig deeper into it, but to lift it with love. Let me remember that I don't have to wait for a breakdown to begin treating myself more gently. I can begin now. I can shift slowly. I can make space for softness without losing my sense of responsibility. Let this day be a balance of compassion and care, of truth and tenderness, of living from a place that says I am allowed to be kind to myself even as I grow. Because growth is not about constantly correcting myself. It's not about being on alert for what's wrong. It's not about waking up every day with a goal of self-improvement that leaves no room for joy. Growth, I think, is quieter, more honest, more rooted in how I show up when no one is watching, in how I choose to respond to my own tiredness, in how I let myself cry without demanding a reason, in how I stop before burnout, not after, in how I set boundaries, not just with others, but with my own patterns, in how I remember that love can be taught from the inside out, one small choice at a time. I want that kind of growth, the kind that makes me softer, not smaller, the kind that makes me slower, not stuck, the kind that allows for rest without needing to earn it. Let today be an experiment in gentleness. Let me approach even my smallest tasks with presence instead of pressure. Let me eat without rushing. Let me speak to myself kindly if I forget something. Let me laugh, even if the to-do list isn't done. Let me breathe before reacting. Let me apologize to myself when I realize I've been internally cruel. Let me take up space emotionally, even when I feel unsure of my right to do so. Let me be the one who comforts myself before expecting comfort from others. Not because I want to carry everything alone, but because I want to stop outsourcing the kind of love I can actually learn to give myself. And when I fall short, because I will, let that not become a doorway to self-judgment. Let it become a redirection toward grace. Let me practice the art of starting again, not just once a day, but as many times as needed. Let me build a rhythm where I come back to peace without punishment. Let me stop interpreting my humanness as failure. Let me believe that I am not broken just because I'm tired, that I am not behind just because I need more time, that I am not weak just because I want to be cared for, that I am not selfish just because I need to pause. Let me stop calling self-compassion an excuse and start naming it what it is, a necessary part of survival, a sacred step toward wholeness. Help me today, God, not to perform healing, but to practice it. Let me live like someone who knows healing. Doesn't mean I never feel pain. It means I no longer punish myself for it. Let me live like someone who knows kindness. Doesn't mean I lower my standards. It means I raise my level of care. Let me live like someone who no longer rushes through life, trying to outrun unworthiness, but who moves slowly enough to remember I was never unworthy to begin with. Let me believe that being kind to myself isn't a detour from my purpose. It is the path. It is the way I remain whole while giving pieces of myself to others. It is the way I stay honest when the world tells me to pretend. It is the way I remain grounded in love while walking through uncertainty. So thank you again for this prayer, for the way it meets me right where I am, not perfect, not fully healed, but willing to keep trying, willing to speak to myself a little more gently than yesterday, willing to believe that how I treat myself is not a reflection of how strong I am, but of how deeply I'm learning to trust you. Thank you for showing me, through your presence, that I don't need to perform strength to be worthy of rest, that I don't need to impress you with how much I can carry, that I don't need to apologize for having limits, that I can begin again, right here, with this breath, that kindness is always a prayer. You're ready to say with me, let this day be soft, even if the world is not. Let it be sacred, even if it's ordinary. Let it be holy, even if it's hard. Let it be enough. And let me be gentle enough to believe that I am too. Some days, kindness feels like a language I'm just starting to learn. I understand the shape of it, the sound of it in someone else's voice, the way it looks when I offer it to people I love. But when I try to speak it back to myself, it still feels awkward, like words I haven't fully translated yet, like a melody I don't know how to hum without hesitation. And yet I want to keep learning, because something in me knows that this is the work, not the loud dramatic kind, but the slow and steady returning to my own heart with open hands. The gentle practice of seeing myself not as a problem to solve, but as a soul to tend. The willingness to stop rushing past my own needs, just to feel more acceptable. The choice to believe that compassion isn't a reward for good behavior. It's a way of living. I can choose, especially when I feel like I deserve it least. So God, let this be the way I end this prayer, with a softer view of myself, not a naive one, not one that denies the areas I want to grow, but one that understands I don't need to shame myself into change. One that honors the slow pace of healing. One that sees my patterns without making them my identity. One that says, you're allowed to still be learning and still be loved. Let this be the start of something lasting, a rhythm of returning to kindness, not just in crisis, but in the mundane, not just when I fall apart, but when I get through a day quietly. Let kindness be something I live in, not something I borrow. Let it feel more familiar with every breath, every pause, every time I choose peace over punishment. Remind me that being kind to myself doesn't mean I'll never feel pain. It means I won't abandon myself in it. It means I'll sit with the ache instead of silencing it. It means I'll care for the exhaustion instead of calling it laziness. It means I'll take time to ask myself what I need instead of always pushing through without question. It means I'll stop waiting for permission to care for my own body, my own heart, my own spirit. It means I'll believe you when you say I'm already worthy of care. It means I'll trust that love isn't just something I give away, it's something I'm allowed to live in too. So when I stand up from this prayer and step into the flow of the day, help me carry this softness with me. Let it shape how I move, how I speak, how I respond. Let it help me choose grace over perfectionism, patience over frustration, rest over resentment. Let it remind me that I am allowed to be a work in progress and still be good, that I am allowed to not have all the answers and still be valuable, that I am allowed to forget, to fall behind, to feel scattered and still begin again. Let kindness become my default, not just outwardly, but inwardly. Let it change the way I narrate my own story. Let it show up in how I end the day, not with critique, but with a quiet hand over my heart and a whispered thank you for all the small ways I kept going. Thank you, God, for meeting me here, for staying through the hesitation, for not rushing my transformation, for showing me that kindness is holy, that it is not weakness, that it is not a lesser form of discipline, that it is sacred, healing, necessary. Thank you for teaching me to look inward without fear, to see myself through your eyes and not the lens of my own insecurity, to stop thinking I need to be tougher in order to be strong. Thank you for softening the parts of me that were never meant to harden, for loving the parts of me I try to hide, for reminding me that I don't have to try so hard to be lovable. I already am. Let this day be full of quiet kindness. Let me carry it through every hour, even when I forget. Let me come back to it gently, without guilt. Let it wrap around me when the world feels too fast. Let it anchor me when I begin to drift back into old ways of thinking. Let it shape my voice, my thoughts, my choices. Let it remind me that I am never too far gone to return to tenderness. Let today be the kind of day that leaves a soft mark, not because I accomplished more, but because I finally treated myself like someone who matters, someone who is not waiting to be enough, someone who already is.